name is Jasmine Jones, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you're now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And it's a little episode I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews, little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing One of Them Days, and we are sipping on the last little bit of my Stella Rosa wine and shit. I finished the whole bottle doing these. Look at that. How y'all doing? This was a good movie. It was like a female Friday, like everybody was talking about. Like people trying to get all like, oh, we need things with more substance. Bitch, can we just laugh sometimes? Can we just have fun? Can we just be funny black women and enjoy ourselves and kiki and just have fun and shit, because that's what it was. And there's a little poverty trauma in there, a little low self-esteem, little I'm fixing my friends' problems so much that I forget about my own problem situations. But, it's a funny little kiki, and I liked it. So this movie is about Keke Palmer's character, Drew, and SZA's character, Alyssa. And they live in the jungles in, where's that, in Inglewood or some shit? I grew up in the South Bay area, for anyone that is from Southern California. So, like, I went over to them areas growing up, but I don't know everything about the other areas, Inglewood, LA, Hollywood, and stuff like that. But I think the jungles are in Inglewood. And so they live in the jungles, and they live in this apartment complex, and Keke Palmer works at Norms. I'm going to be switching between their names because I just know them as Keke Palmer and SZA, and I'm already a little tipsy, so, whatever, bitch. I have my pregame and shit. I don't care what you're talking about. And so Keke Palmer works at Norms, and it was so funny because it reminded me of when this one time before I moved into my first apartment, like I had got the apartment and I went with a former friend of mine to go look at the apartment, and then we walked down the street to the Norms to get a little something to eat after we looked at the apartment, right? We get in there, we sit down, we order like a little breakfast situation, and then we order some orange juice, right? They bring the orange juice out first. Why the cups had like this film in it? And I knew it was a film because I just kept looking at it. Then I took my nail and I started scratching it, and the shit came off. The film came off, and I was just like, this is getting into my orange juice. And I looked at my friend, I was like, girl, look at this. Why is the film coming off of the cup? And she was just like, eh. And we just told the waitress, and we got up and left. We didn't eat there. We didn't eat off the utensil because obviously they were not cleaning the dishes well enough. If you could scratch the cup and a film could come off of it. And so that's what it made me think of. I'll never eat at Norm's ever, ever, ever in my life. I don't care. So anyway, she works at Norms, and it starts off with her getting off of her night shift, and SZA coming to pick her up, right? And they talking about like paying the rent, and Keke thinks SZA paid the rent, right? But in reality, SZA gave the rent money to her fuckboy ass boyfriend because SZA's character like has low self-esteem, even though she's like this earthy, spiritual, hippy dippy chick. She don't like herself. And she don't believe in herself. And she's like an artist, and she makes these like beautiful paintings and shit, but she don't like herself and shit. And both of them got like poverty trauma, so they don't know how to like save money and budget money because when you got poverty trauma, it can run the gamut of money is scary. So when you get too much of it, you just spend it all because you don't know how to deal with having a large amount of money in your bank account and seeing that number. Or, you overly save because you're scared of being poor to the point where like you could be super rich and still be scared that you're going to be poor again one day. Even though you probably have money that will last you generations to come, you're just so scared you're going to be poor that you work yourself to death. It's weird. Please go to therapy. That's called poverty trauma. And so they got the type where they just spend their money and they don't know how to budget and shit. And they live in paycheck to paycheck. And also possibly just because the environment, society, capitalism, they don't make enough to save enough. So that's also a part of it too. So it's not just them, it's also society and the situations that society puts people in and things like that. And so anyways, they get to the house, and Kiki's in her bed. She going to take a nap, but like first she runs into this dirty ass homeless nigga that says is dating, and I could see that nigga had a big ass dick, and I was just like, because he was wearing like Kiki's robe, just presumptuous in their home, not paying any rent. And I don't even know, does SZA pay rent? Because she's like an artist. Like, is it like the little money she gets, she like just gives it to Kiki? I just feel like she's not paying rent either. I just feel like Kiki's paying all that $1,500 a month. And maybe SZA's throwing in like 200 of that. So she's taking care of her friend, and like, it's not a situation where like you need to end the friendship. It's just a situation where you need to set stricter boundaries with your friend, and she need to figure it the fuck out. That's why I set my life up to not have roommates. Like, I'm not having a roommate until I have a husband and kids. Because then I vetted you enough to know that you're going to put in equally to my equal, or like you're going to be wealthy and pay for most of it. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say what it is. I want to be a kept woman, bitch. And like, it is what it is. But no, like, I just feel like those are conversations and boundaries that need to be set, and the boundaries need to be firm, because I'm not about to live up in no house where I'm paying all the rent and then you just living up in here with me. Like, this is a 2-bedroom apartment. That's a good deal for a 2-bedroom apartment right now, $1,500, but they live in a hood and shit like that. So you got to deal with hood shit, but like, it ain't that bad. It's not. That white woman moved up in there, and she dealing with hood shit, but he probably upped the prices on her shit, and she don't even realize it. So anyways, this nigga like got her robe on and shit, just dirty, and so she get asked for her robe back, and he takes it off, and his dick is literally as big as my forearm and shit. It was like even when I make a fist, the whole length of my forearm and the fist. It was magical. I was hypnotized for a second. I was just like, wow, imagine the things that you could do with that. That's why he keeps getting away with shit. You can't let dick rule your mind. You can't let dick hypnotize you, because that's not okay. But it was a magical experience to view. I know it was probably a prosthesis. It was fake. Just like on Nosferatu, I had to look that shit up when that nigga took his house coat off, and I was just like, is that nigga's penis? Is that what that nigga's penis looks like in real life? I looked that shit up, and it said no, that was a prosthesis, and I was like, oh, well, it was nice looking. It was nice. The rest of him wasn't, but the penis part was, and magical. Anyway, so like, Kiki goes to go take her daily nap after her night shift, and like, the landlord started knocking on the door, like the police just keep knocking hella hard. It made me anxious. And I realized, I feel like that's something that black people have from slavery or some shit. Like, white people was probably been doing knocking, banging down doors since slavery. I was just getting more and more anxious the more that nigga knocked, and I was just like, please stop knocking. Please stop knocking. He wouldn't stop. So they landlord Uche, he mad because the rent is late, and I'm just like, see, that's why they put the rent to be on the little online systems now. Most places you pay the rent on the online system, so you don't even have to worry about handling money and people not having the cash and all this other stuff. But whatever, nigga. And a lot of places they give you up to 5 days to pay the rent and shit. And it's still the first. You got till 11:59 to pay that rent on time and shit. So I'm just like, why is he bothering people when it's not? I mean, if I could understand if it was the second and you bothering motherfuckers, but it's still the first. Like, you're just an asshole. And then you gonna put they shit out on the sidewalk, and it's still the first. The sun was still up when he put they shit out on the sidewalk. This nigga's an asshole. So he was like, you got till 6 o'clock in the evening or some shit like, excuse me, some 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, one of them times in the evening to send me my rent, right? So Kiki go and find SZA, and she like, Why he say he ain't get the rent money? I gave you the rent money. And it's like, I gave it to my nigga to give it to him. And then the nigga in question is slowly sneaking out of the door with his garbage, homeless people garbage bag. And there's nothing wrong with being unhoused, but when you're unhoused and you're using people and not trying to live a better life and taking advantage of them and making excuses, you're a fucked up individual. Use a hobosexual. There we go. Let's say a hobosexual instead of homeless, because I don't want that to be spread around to like the rest of the unhoused people who are actually trying to do better, but the system won't allow them to. Because a one bed, actually, in all actuality, a 2-bedroom apartment in Southern California would be $3,000 a month, even in the hood right now. So we're not gonna spread that to the rest of the homeless people, the unhoused folks and shit. He's just a hobosexual. He like uses women's vaginas so that he can live in their home. And so the homosexual in question is slowly sneaking out of the house as they're talking about where the rent money is, to the point where they decide, when they finally decide to question him, he's already fucking gone. That nigga must have ran, because that conversation was not that long for this nigga to disappear that fast. And so they try to figure out where that nigga went by looking through his phone, because he has 2 phones. He left 1 phone there, and I'm just like, that's obviously not his, actual phone, because that looks like a Nokia from the early 2000s. I don't understand why he has that, but whatever. So she goes to the local hair braider, and who was supposed to do her hair and finish it, but because she didn't schedule properly, he didn't do that. And so he obviously knows how to crack phones, and so he got into the phone and found out the homosexual has a bevy of bitches, and one of the bitches is like this woman named, I think, Beatrice or some shit, that lives all down the lane. Beatrice from down the lane. And so they go over to Beatrice's house, and they try to see if he's there. So they figure that he's there, and they park their car in front of a fire hydrant. In front of a fire hydrant, right. No, we had time to look for parking. I don't give a fuck what you talk and walk over there, but whatever. They was rushing, and so they go up in there, and so Kiki gonna run, like offense, and SZA gonna run defense and climb through the window and try to see if that nigga's in there, while Kiki distracts Beatrice. I think her name is Beatrice. I don't fucking know. And so Kiki goes up the stairs, and it's like the tunnel of hell. These niggas is just standing on the landing. The landing's full of weed smoke and tobacco, and these niggas are just, you smell like body washing juice, hey baby. And I was just like, oh my gosh. It made me think of, if you seen that movie The Labyrinth, with the Muppet movie and shit, where she goes into the labyrinth, and it's all the Muppets and shit in there, and she got to go through and the Troll King and all that other shit. When she goes into if you ain't seen the Labyrinth, I don't know. It's not Pan's Labyrinth either. It's before Pan's Labyrinth. It's a Muppet movie, but it's amazing. When she goes through one of them doors, when she has to do like the little quiz and shit and figure out which door to go through, and she goes down into the door down into this tunnel, and she falls into this tunnel, and it's just a bunch of hands grabbing at her and shit. Apparently those were real hands grabbing at her, and I was scared. I'm just wondering, like, during the shooting of this, how many hands copped a feel? How many of them hands touched her inappropriately? I'm just curious. How many takes did it take for you to get that scene? And how many hands tried to touch her inappropriately? I don't give a fuck what you're talking about, bitch. No, because niggas are nasty. And she was a young girl. She was a young girl, and Hollywood is disgusting. So I would not have put it past them niggas with their dirty hands. They're going off subject. I don't care. Touching her inappropriately while they're filming these scenes. No one thinks about shit like that but me. I don't care. I've been through shit. Leave me alone. I know how niggas are. And so she's going up these stairs and in the hall of death, and I'm just thinking about that. I'm just like, ugh. None of them niggas touched Keke Palmer, but I was just like, in real life, someone would have at least grazed her. Someone would have grazed her. But anyway, she gets to the door and Beatrice opens the door and she's just like trying to act like she Beatrice's old friend from high school and shit. While SZA climbing through the window, she go through this nigga wallet. He ain't no money in his wallet, and he wakes up while she's doing it and tells her that he took her money, her rent money, and spent it on these ugly ass shirts that are spelled like Gucci but with a C, so it says Coochie. And I just, you gotta really not like yourself. And this is like some 20-year-old shit. Like they're in their 30s and shit. So this is like some 20-year-old living in poverty, don't like yourself. So you just, whatever you can find for fun and excitement and whatever little niceness you can get, you gonna take it. And that's how you end up with one of these niggas. And cause he got a humongous dick. Let's put you to sleep dick. And I just, apparently he knows how to use it as well. And I just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, like you can find a humongous dick on a decent nigga. No, because we're not going to give up the dream, okay? We're not going to give up the dream. We're going to have it all. We're going to have it all. I'm be like, oh, I'd have a little dick nigga, but he's nice to me. No, fuck all that. I want it all, bitch. So horrible. Oh, you gotta know what you want. You gotta know what you want. You gotta claim it. Manifest. Just like SZA character said, manifest. God. For me, it's God. It's gonna bring me that big dick, decent motherfucker that's rich. It's gonna keep me safe while these white people destroy the world. I don't care what you talking about. I don't care what you talking about, bitch. I'm a queen. You're gonna protect the queen. The king protects the queen, bitch. And so, like, she tussling with this nigga and makes noise, and Beatrice runs in there, and she like a female Debo basically, and she started trying to beat their ass, but they push her on the bed and run out, and so she started chasing them like the Terminator. And I was just like, why is she running like that? Like, so like they running from her, and they well first they get outside, the car is gone, of course, it got towed immediately. You don't even be seeing them people that give the parking tickets most of the time and shit, but you come back, you leave your shit somewhere for just 10 minutes, you come back and you got a ticket. And I'm just like, I even see any of them niggas around before I parked in this red spot for just 10 minutes. Where was you hiding, motherfucker? Okay, whatever. That car going towed, probably gonna be like $400-$500 to get out a day. So she running after them, right? And then some man opens his car door and she smashes right into it, embarrasses her whole ass. She falls on the ground, everybody laughing and videotaping her. Somebody said she give her some milk. It was a whole experience. She was so embarrassed. And when you embarrass a bully, nigga, they be on you. They want that revenge and shit, nigga. Like, so she got a vendetta now. She gotta like save face and get back at them and shit. So she's hunting them hoes down all day. So they get away, and first I think they go to the blood bank, and Janelle James is there, right? And like she's there, and she's like the nurse that is taking their blood and shit, right? And so Keke Palmer's the one that goes first, and she's like, the more blood you get, the more money you get, like, and so she's giving blood, and she's like sucking herself dry, and the nurse bitch just letting it happen, and I'm just like, girl, you know, if you kill this bitch, like, that's your license, that's your freedom, that's your certifications, that's your career, that's all of it, and you just out here like, oh, you can give more blood. And then Sis is wondering what's taking so long, because she was in the lobby waiting, and she taking a nap, and she wakes up and she's like, why is this and so she go in there and see Keke laying there all pale and drawn and shit, and she's like, what's going on? And Janelle is just like, oh, she wanted as much blood as possible. And so Sis's dumbass gonna go and pull the damn needle out, and blood just shoots everywhere. And then Janelle and her's fighting over the needle. I don't understand. They're supposed to be like young people that don't know a lot about like commonsensical things of the world. They smart. They got talents. They just need the right opportunity to come along. But like when you a certain age and you ain't experienced certain shit, you don't know as much. And so apparently you don't know that when the nurses pull the needle out and put the little cotton ball and put the pressure in, they do that for a reason, because if you just jerk it out, blood is gonna shoot out like a fucking fountain. So they slipping and sliding, stepping on blood bags and shit, knocking shit over, popping blood is everywhere, and it's so gross. It's just, so they end up like going into the free Goodwill clothing bag and changing clothes. And I guess they do a little whole bath in the bathroom to get the blood off. But like blood doesn't just come off with a whole bath. You need a whole shower to just scrub it off and shit. Like, but whatever, girl, whatever. Like, they get up out of there. They didn't get no money, but they got some free vouchers for Church's Chicken. Church's Chicken is so fucking nasty, and I try it. I once every few months I will try some Church's Chicken just to be like, maybe it tastes like grease. It don't taste like any flavors or seasonings or anything. It tastes like grease every time I eat Church's Chicken, and I hate it. I don't care. I like their biscuits, you know, the honey butter, and you know, the little fried zucchini is pretty decent, but the chicken tastes like straight grease, like no flavors but grease. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you know, I got like neurodivergencies and sensory issues and shit, so it's probably just me. I don't know, but it's nasty. Anyways, they go there to get some, and they standing at the little speaker box, and they telling them they want to use these vouchers to get some free biscuits. So they go get their free biscuits, and apparently there's a Church's Chicken snatcher that just runs up and snatches your food out the dude's hands. And if the nigga knows that this nigga snatches food, why don't you have motherfuckers get the food? Like, you be in the window like this, and then like they grab it like from inside the window instead of holding it out in the air like that for the nigga to. I think you just playing around. That's probably your homeboy snatching food so y'all can eat it later. I don't know. I think he's a part of it. I don't care what you're talking about. Oh, they made a mess. I think he's a part of it. And you know, I don't care what you're talking about. He's a part of the Church's Chicken snatcher swiping. He's a part of it. He's a part of it. And so they get their chicken snatched, but then here come this nigga that Kiki like. I think his name is Mystical or some shit. Stuff with an M. Magical, malicious. Something with an M. And so he's rolling up in his BMW, Benz, whatever. I always get them confused because they start with a B. And he sees her, and she had a little crush on him since they were kids, but like he went to juvie and she thinks he's a killer and all this other stuff. And so she ain't trying to fuck with no hood nigga, because she want to get up out the hood. She went to business school. She want to, like, you know, expand and things like that. I be telling people, don't go to business school. If you want to start a business or work in business, take you a couple business classes in community college, because the business is so broad that you literally could like work at McDonald's for years and work your way up to marketing at McDonald's Corporation over the years if you know how to finesse the system and shit. Working in business and sales and marketing is just knowing how to finesse the system to get in there. Most of them white people working in business don't have business degrees. They just know people and shit, nigga. You don't necessarily need a business degree to do nothing with it. So just if you really want to work in business or know more about business, take you some community college classes and learn some stuff. Watch some YouTube videos about business, and you know, put yourself out there and start working your way up and shit. But like most of the people that be getting them business degrees ends up just like Keke Palmer, working at Norms because they don't know how to get into business. They won't let them into business because they're black and shit like that. So no, like that's a waste of money. You need to go for some shit like health, because tech is out the window now. You know, maybe engineering, like they still need like humans to build things and stuff and make shit and design things. So, you know, maybe engineering or health is still something that will make you money, because tech, they just trying to replace everybody with fucking AI and shit is some bullshit. So, you know, right. Right. And so anyways, like she get in his car, they like flirting a little bit, it's cute and shit, and I think SZA gets out and I guess she gonna meet them somewhere or whatever the fuck. And then he has to go make a run, so Kiki goes with him and some shit. And then they end up like going to like the payday loan place, and like Cat Williams is outside. He's like the payday loan, you know, ancestral angel, just like in the Perfect Holiday. The little ancestor angels. He's trying to tell people not to go into the payday loan because there's a trap. It's gonna trick you. And them young bitches ain't listening to this nigga. He knows that it's a trap. They ain't trying to listen to this nigga because they just like they need quick money. So they go in there, fill the application out. They see this wall of like delinquents. So apparently this payday loan will hunt you the fuck down and arrest you and send you, I guess, I guess it's the same thing like with tax evasion and shit. Like the debtors, I don't know, that maybe they put you in a dungeon and break your kneecaps. I don't fucking know, like the mafia used to do and shit. And so it's a bunch of delinquents on the wall, right? That's gonna be important for later. And so they filled out the application, and then Kiki sets up SZA to be the one to do it, but they like, no, she ain't got no fucking job. Like, she's up there like, I'm an artist and I paint, and I like, I paint nails, and like, I was a makeup artist at Sephora working in the back, and I was like, and the girl just looking at her laughing and shit, like, girl, shut up. Those aren't jobs. You didn't have a W-2. What are you talking about, bitch? And so Kiki runs her credit. Her credit is 122, bitch. And I was just like, so we just need opportunities. Like, she went into debt going to business school just to not end up with a decent job. And now her credit's fucked up. It's just some bullshit. Like, all they need is the opportunity and therapy. Because even though you make decent money, if you still have poverty trauma that's unresolved, like, you're not gonna know how to budget and save that decent money. Trust me, I know from experience. You know how long it took me to like learn how to budget and save my money and like let it grow and shit? Like, maybe up until last year, like, and I'm about to be 38, like, the damn poverty trauma and shit. Them big numbers and you just look at them and you just get anxious, and then you just be like, I want to buy things, and it makes me feel good. You get a little rush when you buy. I call them gifts. Every time I get a gift, I just bought myself a gift. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yes, therapists have problems. That's why we get into this job, because we have problems and we want to help other people solve their problems so they don't have the same problems. Yes, squad. Even though we're still in the midst of our problems sometimes. And, that's how that shit works. I can give good fucking advice, but I don't take it most. I don't know. They be like, you should take your own advice. And it's like, I know I should. Shouldn't I? I should. Maybe one day. So hard. That's why I don't judge my clients when they don't listen to me. I just be like, yeah, it's hard to save money. It's hard to love yourself. I know. It's just, well, let's try again next time. It's hard to leave these toxic niggas alone and shit. I know, girl. Like, man, we'll try again next time and shit. Like, fuck it. Because I've been there. I've done that. I know how it feels. No more toxic niggas, though. That's reckless. Like, the money thing is, at least I get a gift. I might be broke, but toxic niggas are just, you might occasionally get decent dick, like, but like, that's about it. Like, all the rest of it is just bad. It's just all bad. Like, you don't even get gifts or nothing. Like, now, you need to worship me, nigga. Like the same way I worship myself. Where are my gifts? Why aren't you buying me gifts? Horrible. Oh well, somebody will love me like I love me better than I love me. Shit. Anyways, so they can't get a payday loan, and Cat Williams is just congratulating them. The ancestor angel. He's just like, yes, that's right, ladies. That's right. You stay away from those evil loan sharks and shit. So they're trying to figure out how to get money, but then at the same time, Keke Palmer has this interview at I probably mixed this up because I think the shoe thing came before after. I don't fucking know. Y'all watched the movie. Leave me alone. So they went to Keke Palmer has this interview, right? But then I think SZA disappears, and so Keke Palmer's looking for SZA, right? And SZA's up on this fucking pole trying to get these hood shoes off of the fucking like wires and shit. So in the hood, for like the occasional white person that peruses my page, in the hood, like gang members throw shoes on the electrical wires, I guess, to mark the territory. I don't challenge. I don't fucking know. I wasn't a gang member. I just saw the shoes up there. And I'd be like, look at them shoes up there. And I'll just go about my day. Like, it's none of my business what gang. As long as I minded my business, I was left alone. And so, and I showed, and my face was around the neighborhood enough so they knew I was from that neighborhood. So as long as you mind, it's the same thing as Mexico rules. You go to Mexico, you see something, you don't say anything, you mind your business, because the cartel will chop your head off if you say some shit or look too hard or ask questions. Mind your fucking business. Hood rules count for Mexico rules. You just mind your business when you see criminal shit. Like, white people don't do that. And then they wonder why, like, that tourist bus of 23 people got all their heads chopped off. Like a few years ago. Like, that's why I had to stop going to Mexico, because I was just like, you know what, they crossing the line and shit. They just supposed to have wars between each other and the people dealing drugs and shit. Why they fucking with the tourists? What the tourists do? I'm thinking they was not minding their business. That's all I can think of is y'all niggas is out there not mind. Or you came across a sociopathic cartel member that just wanted to get his rocks off and kill a bunch of people all at once. But either way, you know, I'm just gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break because I just don't want to be bothered. I don't care. You know, God bless them though. You know, that's poverty crimes. Like you pushing people into situations where they gotta like steal, kill, and destroy to survive. Those are poverty crimes, and you know, the crime didn't create itself. Like the system created the crime because you push people to starvation and to feeling unsafe in their own spaces. And so they just said, fuck it, we're going to start stealing shit and selling drugs and shit. So I can't be mad at them. I just don't want to be involved in it. Just leave me alone. I mind my business. You leave me alone. Just like it was when I was growing up in the hood. You know, I don't judge. I just try to mind my business. And so, you know, what was I saying? I don't know why them shoes is up there, but they up there, and I just figured there's some gang meaning behind that. So if any of y'all know the meaning behind the shoes on the power lines, you let me know. Like, I figured it was just to mark the territory, to let niggas know, or maybe it was like a challenge for the hood niggas, like who can throw the shoes up and shit. I don't fucking know. But if you know, you let me know, right? So anyway. So anyways, like they go and they get the shoes off the line, and come to find out it's some old school Nikes from like 1989, and they like cost $2,500, so they selling it online, and they get a response immediately because you know sneakerheads and shit. And so they go sell the shoes to Lil Rel, and Lil Rel like bamboozles Keke and makes her think that she like, you know, makes her think that he's sad because her dad died or some stupid shit, and he starts fake crying and shit, and she believes it and shit. Like, I was just waiting till he stopped crying up, and like 25, like I've seen niggas cry. Like, I'm a therapist. God forbid I'm ever in a situation where I have to steal some shoes off a power line and sell it to some random nigga online. But like, I've seen, you're not gonna faze me, honey. Like, I don't got time for this. $2,500. But anyways, they sell the shoes. Like he talks her down to $1,500. They sell the shoes, and then SZA walking down the street just fanning the money in the hood. I'm just like, niggas run like, well, just like that nigga was snatching the chicken out of people's hands. Niggas do that in the hood. They'll run past you and just snatch your phone, snatch the money out your hand. I was just looking at her like, why is she just holding this money in the air? In the hood, I was anxious. She was fanning it around and shit, talking about the universe and all that stuff. Well, the universe kept it from getting snatched, so you know I ain't even gonna say shit. So, anyways, like Keke has this appointment. She has this interview because she wants to be like the financial manager for the norms or whatever the fuck, marketing manager, some type of manager for the norms. And so she wants this promotion. So she goes to her interview in the hand-me-down clothes from the blood draw place, and she got a blazer over it. So she was able to button the blazer and look a little bit presentable. So she goes into her interview, rocks it, because they got the ability. They just need the chance and therapy to work through their poverty trauma. So if they get the chance, then they'll get good health insurance so that they can get therapy to work through their poverty trauma, and SZA's low self-esteem, and Keke Palmer's just fixing. They got this friend that she always feels like she needs to fix her problems and shit. Like, girl, stop. Like, you always, and I think she got low anxiety too. She always planning and worrying about stuff and worrying about her future, but that could also come from the poverty trauma and shit, because you just be worrying and planning and overthinking and all this other shit. That's why she needs the job, and then she needs good health insurance, and she needs therapy. Right. Every movie we talk about, every show we talk about, I'm gonna be like, ain't not one of them gonna be where I'm not gonna say that at least one of them motherfuckers need therapy. So anyways, like, she in there, and then this motherfucking nigga, Keyshawn, or whatever the fuck his name is, he texts this bitch because he's still in the car with Beatrice. So Beatrice done went to the blood bank. She done went to the check cashing place, or the payday loan place. She done went to Church's Chicken. She following this bitch around to find her, right? I don't know how she figured out I forgot how she figured out where she went first, but whatever. She following this bitch around trying to find her because she needs to save face and beat this bitch ass, right? And so she tells Keyshawn to text Alyssa and be like, where you at, right? So Alyssa is outside waiting for Keke to finish her interview, and she talking to the chili fruit cart man. That's what I call it, the chili fruit cart, because they serve the chili fruits, and it's a magical experience. And when they had them videos on TikTok about people eating cucumbers and putting salt or tahini on it, you can tell they never been around Latin people, because they were making fun of it, because they would, so in the videos they would be like, oh, I eat this instead of chips, right? And so people were making fun of it and talking shit like, oh, this is stupid, why? And I'm just like, so you never been around. I grew up with Latin people. The Mexican candy is my favorite candy in the motherfucking world and shit. Like I was just so appalled. I was just like, why are you making fun of salt on cucumbers and tahini on cucumbers and shit, nigga? I'd rather eat that than chips. That shit is amazing. The chili fruit carts, they be putting the tahini and the salt and the lime and the tamarind and stuff, and all of it is magical. It's such a magical experience, and y'all just sitting up here because. Have you ever had it? What's going on? They was really making fun of that, and I was just like, y'all seriously have never been around Latin people. You never ate Latin food. you never did none of it. You never. That's sad. That's it's amazing how they turn vegetables and fruits into something that tastes like chips. That's so amazing, because I'm not a fan of vegetables. My mom, I'm a carnivore. I be trying, because you're supposed to eat them and shit, but I'm a carnivore and shit. So the fact that they was able to turn that into a nice tasty snack that literally does taste like some kind of chip concoction, but it's fruit, so it's sweet and fruit and spicy and magical, that was a magical creation. So the chili fruit cart man is there trying to sell, and it was so funny. He was like, what size do you want? And she was just like, I want the large, but I can only afford the small. She's like, bitch, shut up. So he gives her the small, and she's just sitting there looking at it, right? And I was looking at it too. I was like, where's all the stuff she asked? Where's the tahini and the tamarind and all the da 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 da? And I was like, where's all the shit that she asked on it? So they didn't even put the shit on there. It was just a cup of fruit. And I was like, why didn't they put the shit on there? I was upset at that whole scene. I was like, and that was like the smallest, most innocuous thing to be upset about. I was just like, why didn't they put the shit on the fruit? Like, where is the shit? Why did they just give her a cup of naked fruit? Oh God. Oh no, they do it for you. You don't put the shit on the fruit yourself. They do it for you. Like, I guess so they can be in charge of how much shit goes on the fruit and stuff like that. And then like a bunch of randoms aren't touching the condiments and shit and getting germs in the condiments and shit. So he didn't do it for her. So I was just confused as to why there was no shit on the fruit. Shut up. And so she takes the thing and like the nigga texts her and she's like calls the chili fruit cart dude over because she wants to make him jealous. And so she starts taking selfies with the chili fruit cart nigga and like she sends him a picture, right? And the chili fruit cart nigga liked that, so he gave her the large size or whatever, even though she paid for the small. And she sends him the picture, right? And like Beatrice, whatever the fuck her name is, takes the phone and is like, I know where the fuck that is. So she goes there, starts chasing after Sis and starts beating her ass, right? And this is right when Keke Palmer's interview is over. And so she's standing at the glass door with the interviewers and they just looking out and they just like, oh, there's so much violence in this area. Like, fuck you, gentrifiers. Shut up. And so like Scissor's calling her name. She's like, Drew, and I'm just like, oh fuck no, because just take the beat down. Just no, because you did it. Take the beat down so she can at least get through her fucking interview and shit. And no, because she did that to herself. That bitch wasn't gonna kill her. No, you did that. So you need to take the consequences so this bitch can get this job and have money for the long term. We're not thinking in the long term. We're traumatized. We're youthful. Like, if we were thinking in the long term, we wouldn't even texted that nigga back. So let me shut up. So she's just like, oh shit, I gotta go protect my friend. And it's like she has to plan. She gets so overwhelmed and anxious because she's not just planning for herself, she's planning for her friend too, because she knows her friend she don't like herself enough to plan for herself and take care of herself. So she got this friend taking care of her and shit. And I'm just like, girl, I need you to set some boundaries and shit. So this bitch is not like, you're enabling this hoe to just like leech off you and shit. Like, you ain't got to cut the friendship off. Like, this is some shit where you got a flawed friendship and a flawed friend, and like, she's a good person and she has the potential to do better. She just needs to like her fucking self. And if you set certain boundaries, she may be a little upset in the beginning, and it may be a little bit of a bumpy road, but eventually I'm sure if she really is the friend you think she is, she will appreciate you setting boundaries and saying no to certain situations that drain you. But if she's not the person that you think she is, she's not going to understand it. She's going to be a bitch and she's going to show herself, and then the friendship will end. Like, I don't... Like, no, like, the ball is in your court. When I set this boundary, it's up to you to show me who you really are. So anyways, so you can stop draining me, because you obviously see I have anxiety and I overplan things and I overthink things and I'm worried about my future and your future. Like, you should see the drain that you're putting on me, because I'm the one that's actually implementing actions to try to get us out of this situation, and you over here painting this shit and not making any money and then having this dirty nigga in my house, girl. Yeah, he got a big dick, but it ain't my dick that I can fuck. So I wouldn't want him in my house anyways. Fuck that nigga. No. You can't be dignitized. You cannot. I don't care how good the orgasm is. That's why you got to learn how to give yourself the best orgasm that you've ever had in your life. You have to practice it. And you have to learn your body, because once you learn how to give yourself that, I mean, a nigga could probably give you better if he knew what he was doing. But you always know that, okay, but I do a pretty good job. Like, what I give myself ain't that bad. Like, I don't need you. Like, if you can do it, somebody else can do it too. That's decent and got a big dick. Like, That's what I'm talking about. Like, until then, I guess it's me and Mr. Hand, and little Rose over there. Like I don't know what to tell you. Stupid ass. You gotta grow some ovaries and set some boundaries and shit and like yourself enough. So, anyways, Kiki is mad. She is obviously righteously, validatingly mad at this bitch because she sat up here and ruined her interview. Of course, the interview lady is like, no, you don't have the job. You went out there and just fought. You just got your ass beat. She didn't fight. They both got so they're not fighters. This bitch was banging their head together, putting her whole vagina on their face. I didn't understand that. I was just like, do you kind of like them a little bit, girl? Like, this is sexual harassment. This is sexual assault at this point. Like, your whole vagina is like, it touched my face. It touched my bottom lip. I felt it. And I feel nauseated now because I felt it and I smelt it. And I was just like, and I feel sexually assaulted. And so, I feel like you might have liked me a little bit too. Like, ew. So they got their ass beat. Of course, Kiki didn't get the job. So they yelling at each other, and then they want to walk across the street from each other, and like little children, like little 12-year-olds, just I'm mad at you, bitch. And then they get back home, and they shit is all on the lawn and shit. And I'm just like, the first isn't even over. Like, and there's like eviction laws in Southern California. Like, you have to go through a whole court proceeding. Like, you can literally squat in somebody's space. If you get mail there and have been there for a certain amount of time, I believe it's like you can squat in somebody's space until the actual eviction process has went through in the court system, which can literally take months. So you have months to still be in somebody's space squatting. So this whole situation was some bullshit. Like, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie, bitch. You can't just evict somebody and they have to leave the next day. Like, most people just leave because they don't want the hassle of doing that. They don't want to be seen as that. They already got a mark on their credit and shit like that. Or they will have a mark on their credit once the eviction goes through. But, like, in reality, you can squat until the court legally evicts you. So you touching my shit, it's out here I could call the police and be like, no, I live here and he stole. Like, literally, like, no, you can't just do it like that. So, but they shit is out on the little sidewalk situation, right? And so they sit on the couch mad at each other. And then earlier that day, the landlord, Uche, moved in, this little white bitch, and he fixed up her apartment and shit and tried to make it all look nice because I guess he wants a bevy of white bitches to be living up in there, paying $2,200 for apartments and shit. So she comes out, just, bubble. And I just feel like this is a commentary on how white people can serve us and serve people of color by funding and reparations. She sees that SZA's painting and she's like, oh, I love it. Like how much is it? And she thinks they're having a yard sale. Of course she does. And she's like, and then SZA's like, oh, you can have it. And before she can finish the sentence, Keke Palmer's like, $300. Girl, why I said in my head $500? I'm expensive. I'm an expensive hoe. I'm not going to say 1,000 because we're out in the street, I don't know if she would have paid 1,000. I don't know. Maybe I would have said 1,000 and then tried to let's haggle. But I said 500 at the very least. But she said 300, so she bought it for 300. And then she took a picture of it and was gonna post it on her Instagram. And they saw that her Instagram had a bunch of followers, and she's like a brand marketer and all this other stuff. And so earlier that day, she had invited them to have Prosecco and shit. I still have no idea what Prosecco is. I don't drink alcohol. Like I only drink it like for this and like maybe on Christmas or some shit. Like I had some alcohol on Christmas Eve. So like she invited, so I have no idea what Prosecco is. Like is it like a whiskey, a Hennessy? Like what's a Hennessy? Is Hennessy just its own thing, like a whiskey, or is Hennessy whiskey? Like, see, I don't know. I don't know what Prosecco is. I think it's whiskey. Don't come on here and be like, what the fuck are you talking about, girl? It's just alcohol. Like, what is wrong with you? And so she buys it and posts it, and then they decide to have a little art showing. Like, just they got 3 hours, and then earlier that day, and then like earlier that day, after they had sold the shoes, so the shoes belonged to the local neighborhood hoodlum, the leader of the gang in the hood, and like he was mad because he got some kind of mental illness or some shit, some sociopathy or some shit. He just likes to cause chaos, all sorts of shit. And so he was like, I want $5,000 for my shoes and shit by 10 o'clock, or I'm gonna kill you. So they decide to do the little art show. So now they owe rent $1,500 and they owe 5,000 for them shoes, right? And so they decided to have a little art show and have her little white friends come over, and they made $5,200, and it was like a whole vibe and the whole situation and shit. Because you know, white people love black trauma and shit, especially in art. So it's not as hard as you think to sell this stuff. You just got to get like, you know, a weepy white person's heart to just be attached to you and just be like, it's been through things and stuff, and it's life is horrible, and oh my gosh. And then they be like, oh, let me help you. You know, I helped a black person. Like I went to Africa and like helped like one of them starving children. They be showing on TV like that's all of Africa. That's how they feel when they help us. Like you gotta clock it, because if you don't clock it, you think they're just being genuinely nice to you because they see you as a human being that is capable in the world. No, they literally are like out there, like they see us as those little starving children on the televisions, like they show like they try to represent Africa to be, when Africa is like 50 continents and shit, or 50 countries and shit, or probably more than that, I don't know. And like they got cities just like LA over there and shit, like it's a whole like vibe and shit. Like they think they're doing that when they help a black person anywhere in any country. And so if you take it like that, then you can just take advantage of it and not be emotionally attached to it. Get the bag and then leave. Like get the bag and then leave eventually and disconnect, or like get the bag and then keep them as like a networking person off in the distance, but always clock if they try to cross too far over into your boundaries because they see you as an infant that they helped. And then you set a further boundary like, no bitch, we're not doing that. Okay, yeah. So reparations, that's what that was showing. Like I loved it. It was magical. And so all the white people bought this and gave money. Just give us money. Like at this point, all I want from a white person is money. I don't want your friendship. Just give me some money. Like, and you know, I'm not gonna be mean to you. I'm not gonna be racist. I'm not gonna be like, but after this whole situation with Trump and how he's taking away our rights, and these motherfucking white folks got the audacity to backtrack and be like, oh, I didn't know he was gonna do that to us, so it was okay when he was doing it to all. So the racism is real. It's real. It's real because most of y'all voted for this nigga, so you thought he was only gonna do that shit to us. You don't give a shit about us, and I'm tired of playing these reindeer games pretending with these motherfuckers. So every time they're nice to me, like I just have that, you know, and I play along, like, because I don't hate humans, okay? But when a human has a certain cultural trait that involves invading other humans and their rights, I'm gonna treat you accordingly based off of your behavioral patterns. And it's within your culture, so most of them have that behavioral pattern because it's cultural, since Rome tried to take over Europe, and then the Crusades, and then colonization, and then slavery. So this sociopathic narcissistic need of power and control has been passed down epigenetically through white people. Epigenetics means that you can pass trauma down through your DNA, and that happens when the baby is in the womb and the mother or the pregnant person has stress and trauma going on around them, so they're pumping the stress hormone cortisol, which is making them feel overwhelmed and causing is attached to other mental health issues. They're pumping that at a high rate into the baby, so then the baby is born with high levels of cortisol, so the baby's born with their nervous system stressed out, which makes them more likely to have mental health issues growing up. This can be reversed if they're born into a calming, peaceful environment that teaches them self-care, and those levels can go down. So never think that your trauma will follow you. You just have to do the work that it takes to grow a happy, peaceful child if you choose to have a child. And so No, because I have to explain the whole process when I say that, because you'll have people on here that I'll just make that statement that white people are sociopaths, and and they have that bred into their culture, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you're like anti." No, I'm not. Like, I had to explain the whole scientific genetic type situation so you can understand how this works, so that you can understand that that's why. So the killing, stealing, and destroying of people has bred into the white culture a sociopathic power, a need for sociopathic power and control. Can this be reversed? Yes, it can, but you have to claim it. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to actively work on it every single fucking day. Specifically, because it's so insidious within your culture that it can be a subconscious thing, and then you're putting it on other people, and when people call you out on it, you're getting overly defensive, when in reality you know what's going on, you know why they're mad at you, you hurt their feelings, you did some fucked up shit. Acknowledge it, work on it, and move past it. But no, in not acknowledging it, you are just allowing it to further grow like a cancer within your culture, and that ain't got shit to do with me. I'm not about to be involved with that. So when I engage with most white people, because some white people have shown me that they are decent people and they're not going to infantilize me and shit. Do I still have to occasionally explain when they microaggress me? Yes, because like I said, it's insidious and subconscious. So they're still going to do shit. That's why I still keep them at a certain distance, even those people. But do I think that they're going to full blown sociopath turn on me and call the police and watch me get shot with 50 bullets and then looking around crazy and act like they don't know what the fuck happened? No, I don't look at them like that. You're gonna be like, what the fuck is she talking about? This is supposed to be a cute, funny movie. No, bitch. Every piece of art has some shit in it. You gotta just look a little bit deeper. People be doing this shit subconsciously. You know how many times when I do photography and shit, like, I will have subconsciously told a story with my photography without even knowing it, and I just have to keep looking at it over and over again to realize, oh, I told a story with this, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was just putting shit together. It's like a whole thing here. It's like a wow. I am so amazing. Look what my soul just spit out without me realizing it. It's like, that's from my soul. And when your soul is pure, you're gonna spit out some amazing shit. And when your soul is all fucked up because you're not acknowledging your shit, you're gonna spit out some trash. Trash, and more trash. God. And so, reparations. Yes, good for them getting reparations and shit. And so, anyways, they got their money, and this nigga Debo, I'm sorry, both the girl and this nigga it's just two set. It's a female Debo and it's a new aged male Debo, and they just, it's Debo, nigga, like. The most hood niggas like that, I guess. Maybe, I guess the leaders tend to be big and scary and shit. But he rolls up and like Kiki want to just give him his money, but like Sis is like, no, don't give him the money. We made $5,200, and if we give him this money, this is a good nest egg, and if we give him this money, like, we're gonna have to start all over, and we're gonna be in debt over and over and over again. I was like, yes, right. Save that money, girl. But like, your life's not worth it. So what's the plan? What are we gonna do here? So, anyways, like, SZA like runs upstairs because she has a plan, but she's not telling Kiki. So she just tells Kiki to distract this nigga. So Kiki's like distracting this nigga, but he pulls out a gun and he shoots it in the air. After Kiki's like, you're not gonna shoot me in front of these people, and he shoots it in the air and shit. And I'm just like, no, because it doesn't go along with his pattern. And I hate when patterns deviate, because then I'm just like, is it because they're women? Like, I guess you give a little grace to women. That's nice of you and shit, nigga, because everyone else, one nigga just looked at you and you shot him. The other nigga, you just told them to drop him, and they dropped him over the side of the building. That you over here having full conversations with this bitch. not shooting, not doing nothing, just threatening. And I'm just like, wow, look at him having consideration for a woman enough just to threaten him at first instead of shooting her in the face immediately. Shit. It's the little things. It's the little things. And so, like, Sissa runs down the stairs and yells something, and he looks over, and then Kiki hits him in the face with the refrigerator door, and they run, right? And he's shooting, and of course he shoots like a damn stormtrooper and misses. Not to say that I wanted them to be shot, but it was just like you've just been this big baddie this whole time, like, and now you're like threatening and you're missing shots, and like, what was the goal here? Like, what was the reason? Like, I know I'm thinking too hard and shit. Like, they're the main characters, of course there's gonna be some plot holes and shit. So they're running, and then they hide underneath this car, and he's come to get them, but then somebody comes and like chases after him and shit, some woman. So they run back to their apartment, right? And this nigga Keyshawn is in there, lit all the candles this bitch had, of course, because he doesn't care. Candles cost money. Like, candles are like $20 a pop if you get them, like, if they're name brand, or you get them big or some shit like that. And it's like, you just burned off. See how inconsiderate? It's the little things. I'm like, oh, well, he was considerate enough to, like, threaten her instead of shoot her in the face. It's the little thing. This nigga burnt all her candles. This motherfucker. It's the little things. Oh, trauma. Oh, it's so, like, I'm so fucking crazy. So, what was I saying? So this nigga burnt her candles and starts begging her to be with him and shit and doing stupid shit. He's stupid. I hate him. And she's just like, no, nigga, I don't like you. She like grew some ovaries and was like, oh, nigga, I don't like you. Fuck you. Leave me alone. Blah, blah, blah. And he starts singing a song and shit. And then this nigga Debo come. I'm just going to call these bitches Debo. Debo come bouncing, knocking through, broke the door down and starts chasing after him, knocks the candle over. And then, like, somebody hits him in the head or the ceiling falls because their landlord's a slumlord. And so their ceiling's been falling through every time. The water doesn't work, the air conditioning. But he fixed up the whole little white girl's apartment because, she's white. See how we hate ourselves and love they wealth and shit? Oh, God. I hate it. So anyways, like, he gets knocked out, and then there's a fire, and they drag him to the back room, and like they apologizing to each other and telling each other they love each other, but they also meant what they fucking said because, like, you need to call out your friend's flaws and set boundaries and shit, ho, because this bitch ain't doing what she's supposed to do. And then she called out her flaws too, like, you playing too much. But bitch, if you synced all of that and shit, why you didn't say nothing from jump? Why you been taking advantage of her planning shit and that right? Bullshit. Anyways, like, here come the firefighters burst into the door, right? So they take him downstairs, and then the firefighter takes his hat off, helmet, and like, what happens? He takes his helmet off, and it's Michelin Man. It's mystical, mafia, mafioso. Fuck that nigga's name was. It's him, and he's like, oh well, I was trying to tell you I was a firefighter, and she was all like, I thought you was a killer, and he was like, no, I just went to the juvie for stealing some shit, like. And then they sent me to the fire camp, and then I became a firefighter. And I was just like, that's right. You become a firefighter and shit, nigga. You help people. And so she's like, okay, well, I can date you now, nigga. Like, you got, like, a regular job and regular people money and shit. Like, I don't got to be worried about getting killed and shit, like some revenge killing or some bullshit. That's why I couldn't date a gangbanger. Like, I'm not. You gonna have me out here revenge killed and have all your kids revenge killed because you don't care about our safety. And so you want me to be ride or die and be a martyr for you if they revenge kill me and my children, but you out here not caring about our safety and doing something that assures us that we won't be revenge killed. So I feel like you ain't riding or dying for me, nigga. Why, and my future babies, why would I ride or die for you? You just looking at me crazy every time they take an attempt on our fucking life. Like, oh, you know, that's the way the life goes. But bitch, my life's more important than that. I don't, you know, I'm not judging anybody in that life, but you bringing bitches into that motherfucker and then having babies and shit. And if the kids die, well, I don't care if that motherfucker dies as an adult. That's my baby that you allowed to die, bitch. You, and then what, you gonna bring your babies into that life and then they gonna die and shit one day, like young or some stupid shit? I'm not doing that. That's not healthy for me and the plans that I have for my life. But God bless the people that live that life, because like I said, poverty crimes and shit, like you push people to a point where you take away their education, you make them feel less than, you teachers is telling kids that they ain't gonna amount to nothing just because they black or Latino or whatever, and you take the motivation out of them to want to succeed. So some hood nigga come along and tell them that they're amazing. It's just like a nigga coming up to a bitch that don't like herself and being like, oh, you're the most beautiful bitch in the room and shit. And now you like on this motherfucker like, oh, he thinks no one's ever called me beautiful. And then that's how you create the hood family and the gangbang family and the shit like that. And it's like, they want us to be like this. They want us to be hurting and sad and miserable and killing each other and shit like that, because if we're preoccupied with that, then they can just slowly take our rights away like they're doing right now and shit, and we don't band together and do the thing that needs to happen in order for that to stop, which does not involve protesting, but involves something else that I'm not going to say on here, because I'm not going to be the one to do it, and I don't want to go to jail. And so, you know, yeah. It's like, anyways, I can understand why she was happy and relieved at him being a firefighter and not a gang member or a killer. And she ain't about that life either, because you seen how that bitch beat her ass and shit 2 times. I don't got time for that. She can't do that. She ain't about that. Same over here. Like I don't want to fight. I don't want to run too fast. I don't want to be scared. That's stress. And stress raises your cortisol level. Cortisol causes inflammation in your body. And if you have some inflammatory disease or anything like that in your body, it'll make that worse, because cortisol feeds that inflammation. And, you know, if you have a susceptibility to cancer, well, cancer is basically just a cell that wouldn't stop healing itself. So you get a wound somewhere in your body and the cells start banding together to heal it. And then like that's why natural killer cells are so important, because natural killer cells come along and tell the cells, hey, time to stop healing. The wound is healed. But instead of that happening, it keeps going and it metastasizes and keeps growing and growing and growing. And so if you're constantly having inflammation in your body, well, that's just wounds and shit in your body. And so you're constantly putting yourself at risk to get cancer. And don't let you have that in your DNA genetically. Because if it's in your DNA genetically, well, then you're even more susceptible to cancer. And then if you've had cancer before, then what happens is that it's more likely for the cancer to come back, because you're constantly wounding yourself and being wounded in your body by the cortisol that is causing the inflammation in your body, because you're constantly being stressed out. You know how many women I've known that have gotten cancer again because they're living in some emotionally or physically or both abusive relationship, and like just died because they're being constantly re-stressed out. Like, it's so hard to survive again when you're constantly being stressed out. So that's why, like, self-care and taking care of yourself is so revolutionary and important, because you got people out here with like disabilities and shit that like more inflammation in their body causes the disabilities to be worse, and so they need to take extra care of themselves and rest, or like they could literally like die or some shit faster than they want to die and shit. Like, you know, you want to live to like 100 and some shit, and now you dying at 35 from some shit that could have been solved if you weren't stressed out so much. So no, I can see why she wouldn't want to be be like, I didn't come on here for all of this. It says therapist. It says fucking therapist, tips and reviews, bitch. I don't know. She called me a bitch. Yes, I did. A jovially. Jovially. It's a jovially bitch. Oh, trauma. Jovial bitch. And so, you know, good for her for having that boundary, because she literally could have been dead at some point if this nigga was a killer. And so anyways, they, you know, start dating each other, and they sitting on the couch after the party, and apparently like a art museum person came up to SZA and wants to display her art, and she like low-key didn't believe in herself, but you know, like a good friend, Kiki was there. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Yeah, she hyped her up, was like, no, bitch, you do that. And she hyped her up because she cared about her, and she hyped her up because she want this bitch to start making some real fucking money so she can pay the fucking bills. You know, it's okay. It's okay. It's for the good of the friendship. Both things. And so like she hypes her up, and like she's like, yeah, that's right, I can. And so she starts selling her art and making $1,000. They had a little end screen where they show like what happened to the people. So what you call it, Sid starts selling her art, making $1,000. Kiki got the job at the such and such, and start dating that one nigga and shit, and like Lucky still being lucky and shit, and Keyshawn still a hoe, now he with the white bitch, and she'll take care of him. That's why they're like the white folks' handbags. They've been so traumatized, and we've taught little black boys not to know their emotions and stuff, and tell them that they're gay or sensitive if they cry. Then now we've made them overly emotional and sensitive because they hold in all their feelings, and so any little thing will make them pop off and kill you and shit because they're emotional. And so so when you put those type of people around the master manipulators, because it's bred into their genetics, it's hard to overcome that and see the manipulations for what it is and play the game accordingly without losing your soul. And so that's why they fall into the trap of white supremacy, and white is right, black is disgusting, and you know, whatever. And that's why a lot of men of color are like that, you know, and white men too. They don't like that because that's why I said they're the master manipulators. Something made white people feel inferior to the rest of the world and other people that don't look like them. Something started it off, okay? I don't know what the fuck it was, but whatever happened to start this fucking cycle, that's some fucked up shit, nigga, because it could have not happened. We could have had some decent ass white folks that just want to love and be peaceful, and you know, occasional skirmishes here and there, you know, because people are still angry, but it would have been like how Africa was before slavery. Like, you know, one tribe might take over another tribe and be like, they make them indentured servants and people would die, but like it would be like, you know, it wouldn't be like, I'm taking away your whole culture and your land and your people's, you know, mental health and everything for generations to come. You'll never know who you are, motherfucker, on a grand scale. Like, it shouldn't be like that. And so something started it. Whatever started it, you know, that's fucked up. I don't know what it was, but it's fucked up because something had to have started it all off for these people to be like this. Because I like to hurt other people cultural thing, like, we're not born like that as children. As babies, we're not like born like that. So I just, No. So, you know, that's why they're the masters, because they was the first ones to have whatever traumatic trauma. They're the first ones to have some kind of trauma to make them want to hurt everybody else. And so when you put the other ones that they've hurt around them that don't like themselves, then of course they're going to be manipulated by that. And so that's why, you know, a lot of black men are white women's handbags and shit. Little accessory. This is my black friend. This is my black man. Yeah. Every time you see a movie, if there's a black person, it's usually going to be a black man. Like, and everybody around him is of another color or they're white. Like, it is what it is, unless it's like a group of all girls, like in the craft, and so you have to put a woman because a nigga would have looked weird as shit. So, you know, I understood him going off with that white bitch. He's a moocher and a user, and that's what them niggas be doing sometimes because, like, you know, they traumatized and they don't know how to go to therapy in the vast majority of them. And so, you know, that was that. Down in the black man, I said some. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, it's statistical. Like, y'all killing black women. Like, that's the one of the number one killers of black women is being murdered by a nigga. Like, what? Like, look at the statistics. So obviously, there's some type of emotional deficiency if y'all niggas want us dead so much. Like, what do you want me to say? Like. So anyways, that was like the end of the movie. Like, it was magical, and you know, I had a good experience. It was like a female Friday, like just having a day where shit is happening and you figure it out, you know, through friendship and love and a little bit of foolishness, and ain't nothing wrong with that. That's a good dish. That's a well-served dish. I wasn't expecting, like, you know, like, I mean, I like art, so I feel like this is good art, like, for what it is, like, for what it represents, and, like, I could find meaning in it in certain places. You just have to dig a little bit. Like, people be living on the surface and shit, not thinking. Now, I could say I be thinking too hard sometimes, and I be thinking myself into wrongness occasionally, but, like, I still feel like I'm not wrong, but I can be, like, you know, right in a different way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I'm calling it, right in a different way that's different from your way. You know, my right is right in this other dimension over here. That's where it's actually happening. You can't see it, but I can see it. And so, you know, that happened in another dimension. And so I was right all along, just not in this dimension. And that can happen because the multiverse, and so I'm right. Multiverse, it can be anything and shit. Different lives. I can look like an alien with tentacles and shit in the multiverse in some other dimension. And so, you know, I'm right in a different way. In the name of Jesus, praise God. Praise God. I want to keep saying that. I'm not wrong. I'm right in a different way. I'm right in another dimension. What can you say to that? How can you say that that was wrong? You could never, ever, ever say that I was wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm so amazing. I just created like an infinity loop and shit. You can literally use the other dimensions for anything. Oh God, I think I got a little too. I need to go lay down. So I'm going to let this go. And, you know, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'm right in another dimension, bitch. So I'm still right, ho. I'll let this go. I'm going to let this go. And I hope you enjoyed this review. And later days.